This, we don't have a power saw. We're pretending we're at home on the kitchen table. And you waste a little bit of meat this way, but not that much. We're actually pretty close to the bone. And what we've got here is a nice piece of backstrap, which can be left whole to barbecue, or it can be cut into some nice little steaks. What it is, it's like a New York strip off a deer. Now I'm going to take the other side off, which is just basically the same. You're just following the bone as close as you can and not doing too much stabbing. Just keep everything close to the bone and try not to hack everything up. And so there you go. You've got a little, like I say, a little bit of waste, but not bad. It's way better than, like I said, if you put things off and have to find a shop to take this to. The deer would spoil while you did that, so we're just doing things at home, and it's just fine. All right, let's see. We can continue on. We can get the other part of the backstrap, which is a more substantial part, and that's the part that's attached to the front half of this. And we'll start up here on the neck end. And just like on that other part, you're going to feel for that backbone, and you know you're going to have to go down each side of that with your knife. And it's time to steel the knife because it feels a little bit dull. And here we go. We're down one side. Make a couple of passes at it where you're comfortable that you've actually reached the bottom where the ribs are. And this part up here on the neck is where it's going to look like you're wasting the most meat, but like I say, it's way better than you find that you take this to a pro, you're going to waste quite a bit, but you're not going to see it. So here we go. We're doing the same thing that we did on the back half of this. We're doing on the front half. And when we get up near that first rib, the backstrap is really going to be at an end, but we will continue on and just take all of this off. Even though it's not all backstrap, it's all meat that has to go off. And what you'll find with when you're taking the bones out of any animal is you don't want to take it off in little pieces. You want to take it off in big pieces, because when you're taking it off in big pieces, the weight of that big piece is helping you. It's helping you pull it away from the bone. I've been doing this particular work for most of my working life, and some people call it an art, but I don't think it's an art, because to call somebody an artisan butcher has got to be the original oxymoron, and we're not doing that. This is just butchery, but it's important stuff. It's good to know. And here we go. Now you can pick away at this stuff. There's some stuff in here that shouldn't even be here. That should have been taken off, but I didn't skin this deer. And you can pick away at this, and you can get some other meat for grind. But you're probably just good enough just to leave this as is. And now we want to go after that back strap. And the back strap ends up here towards the neck, so you just want to cut this neck part off, and that'll be for stew meat or for grind. And then you can see there's a seam underneath all of this covering, and you just pull that back, and there you go. You got a nice piece of back strap. And my preference is to just leave that in a couple of chunks. You can make chops out of it, or you can, like I said, you can just leave it in a couple of chunks. And when you pull this off, you'll run into a, like in this case, there's a fair amount of bloodshot, and that will just pull away with the other meat. Here we go. All right. Let's see. We could continue on with these two back legs. I think that's a good place to go from. There's a little bit of hair there. We'll just avoid that. And the way you get these two legs apart, let's see, where am I? The way you get these two legs apart is to continue with that same program that we had before. You find the center part of the deer, the backbone, and you go down both sides of it. You go down until you just hit the bone at the bottom. And then you turn it over. You can either cut this with a handsaw, or you can reach your knife in here and find that there's a little give in that pelvic bone, and you can, we're going to use a handsaw, at least to get this started. And you can just pull this one side off, and you might be able to pull the other side off. You don't have that extra weight working with you, but you can still pull it off. And that exposes the pelvic bone. And I'm going to show you one other little trick here. If you turn this over and you trim some of the fat off of here, if there is any, you can actually start to bone this out from this side, and you'll run into a little bone, part of the arch bone, or the pelvic bone, that kind of heads up this way. You want to go around that, and then turn it over, and then either with your hand or with a hook, you hold back on this arch bone, and just kind of follow it gently around with your knife. If you want to expose this joint here, there's a ball and socket joint. If you want to expose that, and there's a little piece of tendon in the middle that holds it, you cut that with your knife. And like I say, stay as close to the bone as you can. And when you get this thus far, and you're pulling on it, you can usually just pull it again and the whole thing will just come off. It'll pull away from the bone, and it's pretty nice. Makes you look like a real pro. And the next thing you want to do is divide this leg up into the components you will use to make steaks. And this part on the inside is the tenderest part of the back leg, or one of the tenderest parts. And if that were a beef, that would be called the top round. And what you want to do is you want to set your knife on the top of this femur. That's where this joint comes out. That's the femur bone. You want to set your knife on there just so it sits on top of there, and then hold it at a pretty flat angle and pull it right back to where the shank is. And there you can see that the femur is exposed, and you can start to see the seam that runs between the top round and the bottom round. And what you do is just follow that around with your knife, and there you go. You've got a piece of top round, which is A nice muscle. You can save that for jerky, or you can make some nice steaks out of it. We'll cover that in another segment or another time. But that's a nice piece of meat. And now the next thing you want to do is run your knife across the top of this femur again. You need to sharpen it a little bit. You need the tip to be pretty